It's like actually that great quote from Tina Fey, you can't be that kid standing at the top of the water slide overthinking it. You just have to go down the chute.
So I'll start by just thanking you very much for being available to speak with me today. I appreciate it a lot, Tara.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me.
You studied sculpture and spatial practice in college. So what was it that led you to study that?
I have to actually start off by expressing my gratitude to my parents who, to this day, helped me and teach me and actually put me in a really good school here in Melbourne. There was painting, sculpture, drama, and I also actually danced aside from that. So that kind of, I think, influenced me or sparked creativity within me and my body. And at school, I had some great teachers, and including in sculpture, I had one great teacher who kind of went out of her way. I was working on a glass project, and she kind of went out of her way to take me to a glass studio to help me. And I just thought her dedication was really, inspirational, and kind of it was a really nice thing to do. And the memory has kind of stuck with me. And I kind of really enjoyed working with my hands. So I think it was just natural that I wanted to see what I can do further and create, and chose to study sculpture. I also think I perhaps was a little naive, and in a good way, didn't realize how hard it would be, I think, to make it as an artist in the real world, as in make a living from it. And I kind of had this sense of, what am I going to do now after I graduate? So I decided that I needed to change after graduating, and therefore I moved to Prague, where my parents are originally from and emigrated from.
So, but when you were in school and you were thinking about what it would mean to be an artist, and you're saying you thought that maybe you were a bit naive, what do you mean by that? What were you thinking? How did you think your life might be as an artist?
I just didn't know. I just thought it would be kind of a struggle. Only so many are successful. So many artists are successful, and it's very subjective. So I think I kind of had the realistic view as well as the kind of dreamy view that, yes, I can make it and be the most successful artist. But then again, you have to be realistic, and only a few get successful. And why is that? I question that.
You obviously had strengths on the other side. So you do the business side of art, and that's what you focus on now?
Yeah. As I then moved to Prague, I tried to get into arts universities in Prague. I thought, I'll keep studying, because I really didn't know what. But I didn't get into the universities there for whatever reason. And as they say, in the right time, in the right place, I started working as an intern, as you do in the art world, with the Contemporary Art Gallery. I was very lucky to get into that gallery. And from then, I stayed there for 12 years, which is quite a long time. I guess I must have been doing something right. I just fell in love with the gallery world. And I was just really happy also to be working with art, as in, that really satisfies me now as well. And I've learned a lot, how to deal art, how to sell art, how to work with artists, how to work with, people, to really show the right side of art, or even the wrong side. It's fascinating. It's a whole world that I think I kind of grew into and fell in love with. So, I'm really happy to be in this way and in this field, and doing the business side rather than actually creating my own work, which is fascinating.
So what is it that you're working on right now?
Well, actually, so after 12 years in Prague, I thought I needed some change. As when I was previously in Melbourne, after graduation, I also needed this kind of change. I think I crave change, or I like change. And after being there for so long, I kind of felt like I was getting a little stale, as in the one spot. And as you grow and develop, you need to change a little. It's only natural. So then I was like, okay, I'll try my chances back in Melbourne, in my home city, hometown. And I'm so grateful I did make the move, because, it's always this kind of weighing, should I, shouldn't I, the pros and cons. But there are a lot of opportunities wherever you go, I think. And so I got back to Melbourne, and I feel like I'll also see the place a little differently. I kind of gained a new perspective, which is interesting. I think I'm more grateful of Melbourne and my upbringing here. It's a really special place, and the people also, it's great to connect with. So I actually got a job at the Melbourne Art Fair here, because I did a few art fairs in the past. I did in London, Start Art Fair, and also I acted as a remote gallerist at Art Dubai last year in 2021. So I have a bit of external experience with art fairs. So I was grateful to get the job here at the Melbourne Art Fair, which was actually just a few weeks ago. And upcoming, actually, towards the end of March, I'll be doing the design art fair here. So that's also really exciting. And other than that, I'm kind of freelancing, which is I'm not used to, but, it's great to try something new.
So how do you think your experience as an artist helps you working with other artists in art fairs and in galleries?
Yeah, for sure. I think it really helps because I kind of put myself in their shoes. And I think as an artist, I have a lot of respect and care and understanding, how they would want something to be moved or shown or presented. I have this understanding, which I think is really important as a gallerist, not just to be kind of one-minded. Oh, I have to sell this quickly, fast, now, let's go for whatever price. You kind of have to have this kind of awareness, I think, which I have as an artist. And I think that also makes me connect to other artists because I'm really interested in, their backstory of the work or their experience or their education or where they really came from. And seeing a lot of art, I'm fine-tuning my eye, I think, a bit, and, understanding or seeing what's behind the work, what's behind the artist. It helps a lot, I think. And I think it's good.
Well, it's a creative practice of its own, right? Being a gallerist. So what do you think that you bring to that? How do you see your creativity as an artist, maybe as a gallerist?
Yeah, I think I'm still very much being creative in the work that I do, which I think I wouldn't be doing otherwise. I kind of like the how behind the what. So how something is done, how something is put together in an exhibition, or how the gallery works for artwork or artists to be presented or for a show to be presented. It's kind of the unpacking or the behind the scenes of something that really excites me or I find really interesting and creative.
Do you ever have moments when you're working with artists where you feel that you support them or help them through moments of exhibiting their work?
Yeah, I think artists are always or constantly being vulnerable. That's their way of expressing, their way of communicating. In every work, I think or in most work, there are layers. And I think if you unpack those layers, you can really see the vulnerability or how much the artist has gone to express himself or herself, to show what they want, to express their point of view or their opinion, what they're working on. I think it's really fantastic that they do have this courage and confidence to do that. Maybe I also wonder if I kind of chose the safer option, that I'm not an artist myself, as in expressing myself through artistic practice, like per se, as in making or creating work, because that really takes courage. Yeah.
Do you think that's part of what your decision around doing less of your own art and more working with artists?
Yeah, sure. As I said, I think I was a little naive that, I felt a bit cautious, and a little bit worried, what am I going to do now with my artistic practice? How am I going to make a living out of it? And so I kind of stepped back and was like, okay, I need to get a real job, so which I think goes through a lot of people's minds, or a lot of artists' minds, what am I going to do? But some people then get a job on the side and keep doing their practice, which I think, I don't know if it's the right option, or I guess there is no right option. It's what you can do and what you want to do. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah.
How about you as a gallerist, though? Because that's a creative endeavor. How do you see the risks that you might take as a gallerist being different than the risks that an artist might take with their own work?
Maybe it's also the way I view it, that there is more, I want to say that there is more opportunity for a gallerist to make it in the world, but that's not necessarily so, because it's quite hard also to be a gallerist, with all the things attached to it. But I guess they are kind of running in a parallel way.
Is there a part of you sometimes, as you're working with artists on those exhibitions, where you think, I wish I were this, I would like to exhibit my work too? Do you have those moments, or are you quite comfortable with saying, like, no, that part I've left behind and I'm working with artists to exhibit their work?
I really have a lot of respect for the artists and their work. And I feel really fulfilled in that. And I love seeing new work. I love experiencing new work. I love talking to new artists, seeing what they're doing. And that really, I don't have this craving that I want to do it. More the fact that I have this craving that I want to have my own gallery. So I think that's in the near future, I think. So that's what I'm working on.
So what would that look like for you? What would have to happen for you to have your gallery?
Well, there's the thing I've also been thinking about, location, like where do I want this gallery, which I think is really important. You kind of have to be in the right place at the right time for this kind of stuff, or this kind of business. And there are a lot of galleries or online galleries which opened during the pandemic when there was lockdown. And I think that really helped, that really was kind of a foot in the door for them. And now they've gained momentum, and it really worked, has really opened a door for them. So I think my time will come as well, but I'm just in the early stages. I think all of what I have been doing is great experience for where I want to be going. It's just a process, as is everything.
When you think about having a gallery, as far as virtual versus live, because you said during the pandemic, a lot of people started virtual galleries. What are your thoughts around that in terms of like how we experience art? So, virtual when we can't be in person, but what are your thoughts around virtual galleries in general?
Yeah, I actually, as I was kind of trying out new things these past few years, working with art fairs, and I actually started working with a startup, Cohort it's called, and it's kind of a platform for artists where they can show their work, and also sell their work. And I'm grateful for the experience, and I actually met a lot of artists as well, which perhaps I wouldn't be able to find in the gallery. But I also kind of have this feeling that, after working for the online kind of platform, I then came back to working in the real, in art fairs, For example, last year I did Art Dubai, and actually now the Melbourne Art Fair, and it's just really different. It's just, I realized how much I love the in-person experience, talking with people. It's also such a social event and social thing. Or even if you're not, in the one of the biggest art fairs, and you just go to a gallery on your own and just visit the work and experience the work kind of in a 5-dimensional way, seeing, smelling, just having your own time there. It's so different. And I think it will never replace, the online world will never replace the physical kind of experience of viewing art, which I think many people have found during the pandemic and the lockdowns that, yes, online is great, but, I don't think you can replace that with the physical feeling of being in a gallery, or even talking to people in an art fair. It's such a vibe, it's such an experience. Actually, I remember going to Art Basel. I don't know if you've been to Art Basel, but it's just an overwhelm, it's magical. I actually had to process it all in, and just, it was a lot, but it was fantastic. I mean, it just hits you. And I don't think it hits you that much online, but it's also, I mean, I do think online is great to kind of go with the physical. But I think I'm more of a in-person kind of girl.
Art Basel, which is in Miami, right? Yeah. Miami Beach. Okay.
Yeah,
so
Miami.
I have not been, but there is a photograph of me that was sold at Art Basel. It's like, so I have not personally been, but my representation has been to Art Basel and has been sold at Art Basel. So
wow, not many people can say that. That's pretty good.
I'll take that. I'll take that. That's about as close to Art Basel as I will ever get.
That's pretty inside Art Basel.
Right in there. So, but I'm happy to hear you. Well, I shouldn't say I'm happy, because I'm old fashioned. I'm older. I'm old fashioned. So, and I come from a background of education and learning. So I'm waiting for the face-to-face experience to come back. In the world that I work in corporate, people are very, very, very engaged and happy with the virtual world because it's, more budget conscious. They can reach more people. It's more maybe predictable. But I am a huge fan of the face-to-face interaction. And as much as I'm happy to be able to talk with you like this, which would not have happened because you're in Melbourne and I'm in Montreal, it would not have happened otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak with you, but I would love to also meet you in person and be able to talk to you in person, because I think that would be a completely different experience than this is. So I'm happy when younger people are still interested in meeting face to face.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And there are a few the younger generation, really took on, especially the NFT and the crypto, and it's really buzzing and zooming, and it's crazy. It's just so fast paced. But really, I kind of feel like let's go back to kind of what we had. What was wrong with that? Because that was so beautiful. I feel like a lot of people are just trying to find the next craze, the next thing. Let's keep getting better, more, and really you also have to take into consideration what we have. And I think there's something really special in what we have as well, which is the physicality of art, and experiencing that. You really have to see more in that,
NFTs you mentioned in crypto, and those are their own thing for sure. Yeah. But I know that I have seen lots of drawings online, and then I see them live, and they're not the same thing at all. So NFTs are maybe a different breed because they are digital, and so you see them digitally, and it's the same thing. But when I see actual artwork done by hand, something really warm, like with charcoal or something. And I bought some work online, and I saw the pieces online on Instagram, and I thought they were beautiful. And so that I got them, But when I got them home and I looked at them, I was like, oh, that's like a whole different, like, that's a whole different thing. Like there's so much warmth and physicality and I don't know what it is actually, but like you can just see the artist's gestures in the piece that you don't see it online. And I have no idea. I'm no expert in that, so I don't know why, but it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, that's the thing. It can have such an impact on us. That kind of viewing of what's real. Yeah.
Yeah. What's real? Exactly. I'm going to ask you what you think about what it means to be vulnerable as an artist and as a gallerist, because I think that's interesting also that you think about that in terms of how you work with artists when you're putting together a show.
Vulnerable to me means trying. So kind of putting yourself out there when you just don't know, and the thing is, I'm a great victim of overthinking everything. So which can be good, but also not so good. So it's a tough one, but I think vulnerability is an ongoing process and we're kind of constantly vulnerable. And we can choose to be less or more. I think it's also about transformation, kind of that change going from one thing to another. I think it's also about being confident. That kind of the vulnerability kind of shows you to be confident or puts you up to being confident, which is, I think, a learning and growing process. And actually, before doing this podcast, I did a little bit of research, as I think one usually does, on vulnerability and art. And I found this explanation, which I thought was a bit bold, but it was interesting to see it this way. It was that shutting down vulnerability means shutting out opportunity, something that artists can't afford to do.
I love it.
So yeah, that's quite, I think, bold thing. And yeah, it's about opportunity. So whether an artist takes on a show or takes on, something, selling a work to someone or creating a work, they're being vulnerable. That's their way of communicating. That's their way of expressing themselves, which I think is beautiful. And for me as a gallerist, I think I'm being vulnerable every day, even doing this podcast, it's, I'm more of a private person actually, and more of a listener. Public speaking is not my thing, but it's, I think it's important to try new things and important to kind of show yourself as well to some extent. So this is me being vulnerable. Everyone keeps kind of going and, pushing themselves, and a year becomes, 12 years, and you just really keep going. And then sometimes you don't really stop and look at what you've really done. And I've thankfully had some time off now between finishing at the gallery and moving here. And I really, even for this podcast, I've kind of thought back at all the things that I've achieved and what I've done and where I've been. And I'm like, wow, I've had a pretty good life, and I still have far to go, of course, but I like it that I'm, pushing myself, or I'm trying, I'm being vulnerable, and I'm getting somewhere, which is great.
When you think about opening your gallery, starting your gallery, what do you think might be unique about it that would be different from other galleries?
Yeah, I have thought about this, and I think, not to sound egotistic, but I think everyone kind of brings themselves to whatever they're doing or making or creating. And I think I also kind of have a voice and a way of seeing things maybe differently to someone else. And I think that's what will make my gallery perhaps special or different. There are many galleries out there, which can also be overwhelming and also deter you from creating or starting your own gallery. But I think if you really want to, and you kind of have purpose in showing artists or doing something for artists, you can achieve that. And it's actually interesting because working on the online startup, which I was working with, it was great. A lot of everyone wants to be on the platform, or everyone wants to show their work. But I actually found that a lot of artists were writing to me, "Oh, so can I have a show at your gallery?" As in the gallery that I was working with. And I got a lot of these inquiries or a lot of these interests. And I'm like, people or artists really also just want to show their work in a gallery. It's all fantastic that, everything's online, but they really want to show their work. They want visibility. They want people to experience it. It's not all just about sales, but they also want people to interact with the work, which is very important. So I also kind of have this feeling that this is what artists want, and there are not a lot of galleries out there. I mean, maybe in the States, sure, but in Prague, it's still, starting the art scene there. And I find also here in Melbourne, there's opportunity to create a gallery or have a gallery. But as everything, it's difficult. But if you really want, I think it can work. And I also think I have experience in running a gallery, so it's kind of my natural thing that I do want to help artists and want to have a gallery, and that experiencing the art in real is kind of my motivation, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. Are there forms of art that you're particularly drawn to? Like if you were to have your gallery, are there particular kinds of art that you would want to show?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of, after these few years, I'm kind of creating a database of artists, which I want to perhaps show in the future, or I've worked with and I've loved their work, but haven't had, kind of want to show them more or work with them more. So I think I have few people or few artists in mind that I do want to show and work with. But I think I was also thinking back to the kind of my creativity in choosing sculpture. I somehow have this attachment to sculpture that I find there's so much beauty in it. It's a hard medium to work with, but also exhibit as well, and also sell, because who has A, the money, and B, the place or space to buy a sculpture. It's quite a hard medium, I think, to work with, but still I'm very much drawn to it. Maybe because of the three-dimensionality of the medium. I don't know, but I think sculpture is something that I want to tackle.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time today, Tara. Thank you.
Thank you too, Sarah. It was lovely meeting you.
You too. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.